Okay, I think we have good news. I think son of Gaddafi may come into power. So as a person from the resistance, I think it's good news. Okay. Now I'm going to give you some 2 cents worth of my advice. If you come into power, first thing, you can't have this gold-based currency. If you try to have the gold-based currency, you will be destroyed. So you have to join the BRICS and the SOC initially. That will work towards your independence. Okay? Now, you know who killed your father, who is responsible for killing your father. Locate Barack Obama and this Hillary Clinton. They are responsible for your death. You have to forgive them. But you can't okay, you have to forgive them, but you can't forget it, right? You have to deal that as a business deal. Then you have to go back to those Godfather movies, right? Now, if you try to take revenge, it will destroy your country. So you have to know that who your enemies are, and you will have to deal with them. But you don't have to negotiate with them, because when your father was killed, this is my 2 cents worth of advice, okay? When your father was killed, the Russians and the Chinese were very weak, so they couldn't help you. Okay? Now what you have here is Brahma face and Shiva face. Shiva face is the Shiva. That is, I am taking something from Hinduism. Okay? So I am not talking to, I am not referring to any astrology, I am talking to their certain ideology. So Brahma face and the Shiva face is already happening. Shiva is actually NATO. NATO destroyed your river. You have to build that river first. Okay? And that will unify your country. You can't get control of the whole country. Maybe 70% of the country you might be able to get hold of it. That's enough for you. So first thing you have to do is you have to build good relationship with Ibrahim Traore, because there were at least 18 coups directed against him. So you have to understand how this West works. Coups and murder, assassination attempts, you have to start getting. And second thing, you have to speak to both Mr. Putin. If not Putin, you have to speak at least to Lavrov, and you have to speak to the Chinese president. Right? And because when your father was there, the BRICS was not there, and the SOC might have been there in the infant stage. So you have much more easier period. Of course, you will have to fight it out, because some countries, some of the forces in your country are there aligned with the Western countries, so they will never work with you. You will have to fight it out. So first thing, you have to build the river back, which was destroyed by the NATO. Because I think if you build the river back, you can unify the river. And if you come into power, there will be less illegal immigration into Europe. So Europe also benefits, but they don't care about. They are only main idea is to preserve the 500 years old hegemonyism. I don't use the word hegemony, okay? So there are many things. You have to build the river. You can't take revenge from locate Barack Obama. You can't do that. You have to consider that as a business deal. And then you have these countries who have signed Abraham Accord. Now, if you take Jimmy Carter and Norway, they are always working against the Muslim countries, and they were trying to work against the signal is in Sri Lanka also. Fortunately, we got over it. Okay? So, anybody who signs the Abraham Accords is against you. And Donald Trump is still promoting Abraham. That means he is working against the Palestinians. The Abraham Accord is mainly to work against the Palestinians. So if somebody is promoting Abraham Accord, that means he's an enemy of you. So you can work with him, but you have to understand. Now, if you take Assad of Syria, you know the countries who work for Assad, against Assad, they work with Israel. Okay, there are a lot of countries who were working for Assad. Why? Assad has many deficiencies, but when he was there, he didn't kill minorities in large scale. Now you have the killing of minorities in Syria. So actually, in Syria, people who worked against Assad are your enemies. Once again, you will have to work with them, you have to understand. So it's very easy. People who worked against Assad is your enemy. People who worked against people who are signed with the Abraham Accord is your enemy. So it's very easy to understand. And some African leaders worked against your father. I think you know more than that. So if you become the leader, don't try to compromise. Because your father at the end was trying to compromise with the West. And that is one of the reasons why he got landed. But now sometimes you may have to work with Trump. Because Mr. Trump is the person who is destroying the Western civilization. So sometimes you might have to do some deals with Trump, because that will accelerate the destruction of the West. So you have very easy to understand. You have to look at the people who have signed Abraham Accords. You have to look at the people who have worked to get rid of Assad, right? So you can work with your enemies, but you have to understand the enemies. Don't try to compromise and try to get into BRICS. So you have to negotiate with these presidents of China and Russia, and you have to try to build bridges. And you might only control about 70% of the country, that's okay. Okay? So you think where your father went wrong, and don't try to take revenge. If you take revenge, you will lose. You have to forgive them. Like it's like the Godfather movie, okay? Like Don Corleone, you have to sometimes forgive them, but you can't forget it. You guard against them. So I have to say a lot of what is happening. So if Mr. Trump is insisting on Abraham Accord, it's like Jimmy Carter is trying to destroy the Palestinians. And your father mentioned something about the Palestinians. Your father said if Palestinians are not protected, the entire region is at threat. So your father said earlier, lot of things have come true. So you use your father as the guiding light. If he's a dictator, who cares? I mean, if look at Barack Obama says, if your father is a dictator, if this Hillary Clinton says he's a dictator, so who cares, right? And please don't take revenge. And I think you have easier right. And sometimes you have to help Donald Trump, because he is destroying the Western system. So he is also Shiva, right? If you take NATO is a Shiva. NATO will never build artificial rivers, they will destroy it. You will have to be Brahma. You have to build a river back again.